1 second.
We are.
Came here to say who won it from the jump. Came here to get exactly what you want. Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, we live, you know. We came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, the sports show.
She's learning. She's learning. I got it. Good job. Good job.
So, Pete, you prematurely ejected yourself into this conversation, but welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show, episode 123. I am your host, the Queen, Tavia Regina, and I am joined by my cast of bandits. To my top, we have BK Matt.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all?
Okay, cut that short. And then to the bottom, in the center, we have the voice of the generation, the voice of a generation, Mr. Peter Antonio Juan Rivera Rosado.
Yeah, and I'm never freaking home. I'm never home. I'm always out in the streets for some reason.
Say Antonio, because I'm done.
Listen, I'm with it. I actually don't have that long of a Latino name. I would have loved to have had one.
Peter.
Damn.
Manuel.
That's crazy.
I have a student that actually has 6 names, and we only have 3 of them on the attendance roster. I'm like, bruh.
Well, yeah. Can't fit all of that on an attendance sheet.
Yeah, there was one, though. There was one student in my career. Her last name was so long that on the roster, her first name got shortened, but her first name was 4 letters, and the first 2 were H-O, and those were the only letters you saw on the attendance roster. I was like, I know your name ain't this. I know your name is not this. Please help me.
I hope you didn't say that to her, because she probably
I didn't. I was just like, I know your name isn't this, and she laughed, and she was like, no, and she told me her full first name, which is a lot nicer. But her last name was that long that it shortened her first name.
I know you took her last name as a challenge. You made sure that you had to learn it just so you could say it. So like you the only teacher that knew how to say it, right?
Actually, I was the only teacher that had ever said it right, and I learned it in a week.
Horrible.
Learned it in a week.
Horrible. I have the most Caucasianest name ever.
Matthew Miller?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is,
I can take it either way. You can be white, you can be black, you can be whatever. So, at least you have one of those amendable names that, when someone sees my resume, they know from my first name that I'm black. Even though, to be fair, there's another woman with my same exact name who lives in Texas and she is white.
I've known white people with your name, but they don't call them Tavia, they call them Tavia.
I hate Tavia. Like, it's not, and if I correct you and you still say Tavia, like, I'm ready to go.
It's crazy.
And the worst part about it is I could imagine, Tay, that throughout your career, like, you've had to deal with that, like, that latent discrimination of like, oh, this is a black name, so we automatically treat it differently.
The only discrimination I have with my name is 1 or 2 T's.
There were times where I've had to change my name on resumes.
Yikes.
How do you even do that?
You see, at the top of a resume, you take that part down, and you put the name. I put Regina Hartley instead of Tavia, and I got more callbacks.
It's sad. Like, it's the real truth between job interviews, apartments, like the way that people discriminate against certain name types. I think there was actually a study done by somebody where they just like called they called for an apartment using different accents, and the certain accents would turn down just immediately, but then they would call 5 minutes later with a different accent that would be like, oh yeah, this is still available.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
It makes a lot more sense on why my name is on a lot of shit. It's crazy.
So, as you can see, it's 3 of us today. Dre, our former host, he's on assignment. We don't know him.
That's the Bronx for you.
As for now, I'm taking over. This is my show. So,
Lord,
let's get into it. So we're gonna start today off with. So our first topic of the day is KD. I know that Matt feels really passionate about this, but KD made some interesting comments throughout this week about his team, about his play, about basically like how he's viewed as opposed to how he wants to be viewed. And let's kind of get into that. KD was it an interview, Matt?
Yeah, it was on Bleacher Report. It was like a press conference.
It was a press conference, and some of the highlight text from this is it wasn't at all difficult to request a trade because it was all about ball. Durant told the Bleacher Report. He didn't like how they were preparing. He didn't like how they were practicing. He felt like he needed more. He felt like other teammates weren't being held accountable, and he didn't like that. So I guess when he requested his trade during the offseason, he was kind of giving insight as to why. These were not the only comments that KD made this week. There was another, I think, snippet that said, well, you have me, this person, this person, this person on the starting lineup. Why are you surprised our record is the way it is? So, Matt, you felt really passionately about what KD was saying in his favor. I kind of want to hear what you were thinking about that.
How I feel about the situation is, again,
you know what? I think I'm going to jump in here and be like, look, KD. While I get what he's saying, and I agree that more people should be taking accountability for not playing well on the court and not, and for the distractions off the court, not saying any names, but he has to take accountability too. Throughout his career, people have always labeled him as the guy who didn't want to be the guy. In Oklahoma City, he had him and Russ and Harden. At Golden State Warriors, in the Golden State Warriors, it was always going to be Steph's team. And then now the Brooklyn Nets franchise was his chance to kind of show that he can be that leader. He can be the guy who takes the most accountability. And when the heat got tough, he requested a trade. Now I'll take it over to Matt.
Yeah, I don't know what am I supposed to say right now, but as far as the comments that he made, again, it goes along with what I've been saying as far as with certain people in the media narratives. I don't agree. I don't think anything he said was false because, again, I've said about the Steve Nash coaching job, you have a coach now who has no experience as a coach, now running a team that is supposed to be one of the favorites to be, the contenders for the championship. And then you have like two stars who are already champions, where Steve Nash has never won a championship. So there's that. And then there's the comments where he listed the members on his team, and he says, you expect us to be like contenders just because I'm on the team. Like, you're putting these guys in a position or in a predicament to pretty much fail because you just say, oh, I'm on this team, so they're automatically going to win. It doesn't work like that. These guys, they're learning in a sense. That's practically what he was saying, but the fact that he listed people's names, everybody took that and ran with it and made it seem like, oh, he's calling them out and making it seem like they're trash. That's not what he's saying. But, of course, it's the media, and they're going to spin it how they want to spin it. So he's basically saying, like, I requested the trade because, again, we're not being prepared properly. You're not leading the team where you need it to be as far as contending, as far as like practices. Like, we're just shooting around. We're not running over. We're not going over plays. We're not preparing ourselves for better situations to where we're able to win. I want to run more closeout drills. I want to do more. I want to be held more accountable. Like, if you got to yell at me just to get everybody else's attention, then do that. Like, you're just too nice to the situation, and he felt like the only person that was on the same side with him as far as that was Jacques Vaughn at the time. So That's why he demanded the trade, and he said it was strictly about ball. It wasn't nothing like, oh, I'm being held accountable for everything and I'm not being blamed for anything. It's just a matter of what are we doing to get better? If we're not doing anything to get better, then why am I here?
Matt, I want to ask you a question, Matt. What's your favorite line on this show? Your favorite line on this show is what? Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right?
Yeah.
That's what the media does.
I'm well aware.
The media does. That's all the media does. The media's job is to tell the story. And at the end of the day, okay, if the Brooklyn Nets were 25-1, KD would be sitting out here talking about how he's enough credit and people got to respect these guys more and people got to understand how hard they work and how hard they ball, right? At the end of the day, you have Kevin Durant. On paper, you have Kyrie Irving. You have 10 top 5 picks on that team. Okay? So, of course, people are going to expect for them to win, especially in the Eastern Conference that doesn't really have a lot of great in the
I have no idea what you're saying.
Your phone's breaking up. Pete, your phone breaking up. You gotta get that.
I apologize. The reception.
Yeah, you gotta get. Yeah.
You sounded good just now.
Just now, yeah.
Okay, yeah, like you have a situation where all these players. I mean, at the end of the day, they're all NBA caliber players. They are all NBA caliber players, or else they would not be in the NBA. Okay, and anybody who listens to this show and anybody who knows anything about the amount of people that make it to the top league of all time are the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. So all of these guys can ball. Now, in terms of what they look for KD to do, in terms of that other interview where he talked about like, oh, I don't know why people want me to talk on, on what's going on. Like at the end of the day, you are a top 5 pick. If I'm not mistaken, Matt, he's the number 2 pick overall in his draft, right?
He's number 1. Yeah, number 2. Yeah, you're right. Hold on.
So the leader of the team. All of them are expected to be leaders of their team, especially on the court. Now, I don't need you talking about nobody's off the court life unless it affects what's happening on the court. And unfortunately, the things that
I'm going to give Pete a second because, like, I feel like you have something really good to say, and your service is not allowing you to say it. But if I could finish what you were saying for a second,
am I still choppy?
You sound better now.
Okay, yeah, like, at the end of the day, while KD's teammates' issues were personal, and we're all going to sit here and agree with that, they affected heavily the ability to perform on the court. They affected that team's abilities on the court to the point where they had to go and trade for Ben Simmons. They traded for Ben Simmons not only to get rid of James Harden, but in order to compensate for the situations of Kyrie Irving. 100%. At the end of the day, KD needs to be exactly what everyone needs him to be. He needs to be a top 5 player in the league. He needs to be the leader of that team. And by the way, speaking about Steve Nash, Matt, right? Didn't the Nets have a coach that ran them hard and made them practice and pushed them in Kenny Atkinson? And it was the directive of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving that we didn't want that man to be the coach. And Neither one of them has ever come out and denied that they requested or they put the stamp on Steve Nash. That's been the story that has been perpetuated, that they put the stamp on Steve Nash. They wanted Steve Nash. But now KD wants to say, well, we weren't getting prepared the right. We weren't this, we weren't that. Okay. But that was who you chose. So now you've got to take the slings and the arrows that come with that. You have to take the blowback. If I recommend somebody for a job and they don't do the job and they are absolutely incompetent at doing the job, I got to deal with the blowback of that. That's what happens. That's how the world works. And Kevin Durant, I don't care how good of a basketball player you are not immune to criticism. You are not.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. I think at the end of the day, the media and I guess league experts put that stigma on him that he needs to have, a ring apart from Steph to validate his legacy as one of the greatest. But I feel as if when you are playing at the level that KD plays, when you are that level of superstar that KD is, you have to kind of expect that some of the leadership titles, especially you being such a veteran in the league, will be tacked onto your name, whether you like it or not, because he's talking like someone who doesn't want to be considered a team leader, but he's making moves behind the scenes requesting for Steve Nash in this to say that he wants that but doesn't want the accountability that comes with it.
He wants the power, but he doesn't want to be the leader. That's the thing. He wants the power. He wants to make decisions, but he doesn't want to lead. So you want to do without having to do the job. You want the perks of the job without having to do the job.
Of course. Yeah,
in Miami, that's why Miami has guys like Udonis Haslem. Because Udonis Haslem could smack the young players across the head and keep them in check. And if something were to happen, ain't nobody going to say nothing to Udonis Haslem. If Jimmy Bucket had an issue in Miami, Udonis Haslem will look at him. Because that is Udonis Haslem's role. You play 3 minutes a year, and you are the coach. Besides Eric Spoelstra, you are the team coach. You handle the internal stuff. Okay, the Nets don't have that. KD was supposed to be that. KD, you went and you led the Oklahoma City Thunder. You did that. You went and you won a championship in Golden State, and you played with some of the best players of all time, and you are considered to be one of the best. But I'm going to tell you right now, they don't want that on that team because that rugged veteran is going to keep his foot up Kyrie's ass, up Ben Simmons' ass, and up Durant's ass. Well, you play his ass.
That's right. I don't think Matt has anything to say on this again, but I feel like we close this. We're gonna close this topic out. This topic of KD out. I feel like it's a gift and a curse to be one of the best players in the league, and when you see guys who are in charge of their team via the media, you have the Stephs, you have the Giannis's, you have the LeBrons, and the people who are expected to be the number one. That does not come without accountability. And when you have someone who's saying, well, look, I can't tell a grown man what to do. True. I can't tell, these people to do this and do that. But when it comes to running drills, when it comes to doing shoot-arounds, when it comes to doing different things like that, you are of a position and of a respect in this league and hopefully with the team that you could say, hey, I don't like how we're shooting around. you know what, let's stay an extra 20 minutes, an extra 30 minutes to do it this way, do it my way. That's how you build that reputation of being a leader. Moving on, and Pete, I know this is something that you are very passionate about. Um, there's a battle for Aaron Judge, our latest American League MVP, much deservedly so. Um, the MLB wants to investigate both the Mets and the Yankees, looking for collusion. What do you think about that? Because this is something I really don't know much about. All I know is that the Houston Astros used to do some dirty shit a couple seasons ago. But as far as, you see, I know the basics of baseball. You know, I'm a huge Yankees fan. Shout out to Aaron Judge. But when they say that the league is looking into possible collusion and between the Mets and the Yankees and interference, like, can you kind of give me a little bit of a rundown on that?
Yeah, I do my best with my shitty reception. The long and short of it is, apparently there was a comment, I think earlier in the season, or it might have even been in the off season, where there was a question, I think, asked to Hal Steinbrenner, the owner of the New York Yankees, about, you know, his relationship with Steve Cohen, owner of the New York Mets, and, you know, the fact that they would both be considered to be the number one. Aaron Judge would be obviously both their number one targets. And Hal Steinbrenner said something as a joke that, you know, we're not gonna engage in a bidding war with each other. You know, we're not going to engage in a bidding war with each other. And all of a sudden, you now have now that Aaron Judge is actually a free agent, and the Yankees did not re-sign him earlier in the season. Now you've got the Major League Baseball now, 360-something days later, wants to investigate emails and texts sent between Steve Cohen and Hal Steinbrenner, because they don't want to create. They want to make sure that they aren't creating an unfair balance, that they're not going to compete against each other. So basically, it's just like, oh yeah, if the Yankees offer $400 million, we're not going to offer $420 million. Like, first of all, why do you care? Like, we all know that the only teams that are going to be able to afford a player like Aaron Judge are the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, the LA Dodgers, likely the San Francisco Giants, but the big market teams are the only ones that are going to be able to afford Aaron Judge anyway. And secondly, a problem if the Yankees try to outbid somebody else. So it's a lot. And what I don't like is it's now this situation where they're investing.
Yo, Pete, you got to find some spot in the Bronx. I know it's hard.
To either be a Yankee or go back home to San Francisco and play to the San Francisco Giants. You know, and the Yankees and the Mets want to blow each other's checkbooks out of the water and want to have a you-know-what measuring contest to see who's got the most money. Hey, be my guest. I don't care.
So where is he going? That's what I want to know. Where's he going to go?
Well, like I said, my fandom wants him to stay with the Yankees. I think the Yankees are going to do everything that they can to keep him. The top contenders right now, obviously with payroll to do it, are the Yankees. Dodgers is $1 million in contracts, so the Dodgers might make a run at him. And obviously the San Francisco Giants hometown team. Now, you could see a dark horse team come out of this. I mean, the Texas Rangers have a checkbook and signed many contracts. Really don't have that type of money. The Fizz would have burned a couple of other long books. The big deals you could have seen maybe in there. Right now, I think it'd be a coast wherever it's going to
Pete, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to refresh your StreamYard.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
So
I don't with the Aaron Judge thing. I feel like he was really disrespected by the Yankees last season, and then had kind of a show improved season this year. So it's like, oh, you didn't want to pay me. Oh, you wanted to play me. Oh, okay, I'll show you my worth. I do ultimately feel that Aaron Judge stays a Yankee. I like Pete was trying to say. I don't see him going to a smaller market team unless it's like, well, I can't even consider the
Mets.
I can't even
Yeah.
consider, huh?
I don't. Do you consider the Mets a small market team? It's still New York. I mean, granted, it's Queens,
Right, right. But like, I don't consider no. The Mets are not a small market team, but the Mets are not the Yankees. So
but
you
yeah,
get
that's a fact. They got the money to play.
yeah, but they do got the money to play. So I do feel like if he's not, I don't see Aaron Judge going to the Mets. I don't see him going to the San Francisco Giants. I see him staying with the Pinstripes.
I mean, even if they lose Aaron Judge, I feel like what they really lack is a pitcher. I feel like that would be more. I mean, granted, yeah, entertainment is entertainment. You want to put butts in the seats, but the Yankee following is very strong as is. They'll pop out even if they do suck, which is very rare. And like I said, even if they lose Aaron Judge, I don't really feel like they're a bad team. I don't feel like they're still, the leaders of that, that conference. That's still the Astros, but that's neither here nor there. Like I feel like in order for them to be competitive, like let's be 100%, real to the fact. I feel like the reason why the Astros beat them is because they lack pitching. Houston
Yeah,
had a better pitching core than the Yankees do. And honestly, I don't really feel like the Yankees has had a great pitching core since what? Maybe '09, which was the last time they were in the World Series. So I mean, that's really their issue. They like Pete always said this thing where like they lack the fundamentals in basketball in baseball where they started out the season and they were playing great because they were doing the fundamentals. They were doing the necessary things to win. They weren't relying just on home runs. And then as the season progressed, they started relying on home runs. And that became the narrative of the whole season. Is Aaron Judge going to hit this record? Is the Yankees is he going to carry the Yankees to the World Series, which we all kind of knew that wasn't going to happen, regardless. But we know we held on to hope because it's the Yankees and miracles do happen, and that's the only miracle that really happens in the Bronx. That's neither here nor there. Besides Jackie Chan, but that was a dope movie. That was a really good movie. I think people really fall off on that movie. It was a good Rumble in the Bronx wasn't a bad movie. It's neither here nor there. But I don't know. Aaron Judge, I really feel like, yeah, if you're gonna sign him and give him his money, cool. But does that really make y'all competitive going into the new year, the new season, without a better pitching core? Not really. So I really feel like if we're gonna spend money on things, that we should really prioritize what's the most important and the real big weakness on the Yankees team, and that's strictly the pitching right now. Pete, you back?
I should be. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot better. Yeah, like I was saying, I said right now the biggest suitors for Aaron Judge are either going to be the West Coast teams in LA or San Francisco, his hometown team, or the Yankees and the Mets. Again, you may see a couple of teams come out of try to open up their pocketbooks, but I don't think the normal dark horse teams have that money right now. So he's going to end up in one of those. He's either going to end up in California or New York. And I think the Yankees are going to give everything they can to get him. I heard kind of what Tay said right before I had to jump off. I don't think they disrespected Aaron Judge. When you look at the contract that they offered him, it was a fair assessment of value at the time, considering his injury history and everything that he had accomplished up to that point. He was still getting $30 million plus a season. I don't think anyone expected. Listen, this is the season that he had this year was the season that we all expected Aaron Judge to be able to have on any given season, but he had never been able to have because he'd always been injured. So at the end of the day, Aaron Judge bet on himself, and boy, did he win. But I think that when we end up along with it, he's going to end up with a contract. It's probably about $35 million a year for 7-8 years. The question is going to be whether or not he can do this again. Because Aaron Judge, whenever he's had a good season, has always been followed by injury. And I don't want to wish injury on him, but this is not a season that we expected out of Aaron Judge because he's just always been injured.
I mean, like I said, he can if you give him his money, go ahead, give him his money. He just well on deserve that. But home runs and slugging is not. I don't feel like that should be the priority. You lack pitching. That should be what you really need to be focusing on. They lost to the Astros because the Astros had a better pitching core.
Well, the Astros are just generally a better team.
Yeah, but we know what makes them such a great team is their pitching core.
Yeah, and I feel like not everybody performed consistently. Like that's my problem with certain teams. Like, when it was playoff times, they were really erratic. Even the Yankees in that second series, they got eliminated because they were not sticking to the fundamentals, like you said, and people didn't show up when they needed to show up. And like you said, it became less about home runs and more about, hey, we need to kind of catch up here. So, our next topic is, drum roll, please.
By the way, Tay, before you move on to the next topic, I do apologize. Matt, I 100% agree with you, by the way. I 100% agree. Their money needs to be spent on pitching. But unfortunately, pitching wins championships. Pitching does not win the fans. They want to see the home runs. They want to see this. They want to see that. So the Yankees could go out and spend money and get the best pitching staff in the world and win a World Series this year. And unless they win a World Series, if they let Aaron Judge go, people will rip them to shreds for not signing Aaron Judge. That's the thing. If they let Aaron Judge go, even if they get the best pitchers in baseball, if they don't win the World Series, even with the best pitching squad, even if they make the World Series and lose in a Game 7, people will rip them to shreds for getting rid of Aaron Judge. Because they will say that Aaron Judge was the difference.
But I'm gonna ask you this one question, and then tell you can move on from the topic after this question. But
I move on when I feel like moving on.
I'm just saying, like So, in all honesty, do you think putting runs on the board is the biggest problem that the Yankees have? Do you feel like if they was to lose Aaron Judge, they're gonna have problems putting runs on the scoreboard? Do you think they're gonna really have that problem?
Yes, and here's why. Because the Yankees don't play station-to-station baseball. They don't play fundamental baseball. The Yankees have built their team around the home run and the big hits.
But they started out the season playing the fundamentals.
Right. That's the thing. What made the Yankees successful this season was in the beginning of the year, they were playing really good fundamental baseball. Aaron Judge was hitting his home runs, but you had guys who were getting doubles, getting singles, stealing bases, doing all these things that you didn't see the Yankees do for a very, very long time. And they were punctuated by, Giancarlo Stanton's actually healthy a little bit. And he's hitting home runs again. And, Aaron Judge is hitting all these home runs. That's great. Remember, Aaron Judge struggled in April. He really did not get off to a fast start. And so the thing is, the Yankees lose Aaron Judge. They lose one of their major weapons. And DJ LeMahieu had a very bad year last year. You cannot count on Giancarlo Stanton to constantly, be able to take Aaron Judge's role. Who are you playing in right field if you lose Aaron Judge? So a lot of questions. Aaron Judge, I think, is a vital part of the team. Aaron Judge is the corner of this generation's team, but I there are a lot of other things that need to be addressed as well. If I were running the Yankees right now, my number one focus would be Aaron Judge. And 1A folks would be picked. Even if get rid of Giancarlo Stanton, even getting rid of saying I want Aaron Judge and Mitch.
All right. So, Bruce Arians made some really interesting comments about Tom Brady. I guess he was saying that he wasn't playing so well, and et cetera, et cetera. So, Matt, what do you think about Bruce Arians' comments? I'm sorry, I
I
got
feel
this.
like honestly, if you're not coach, they only relying on what he has to say because he was the coach. That's his coaches. That was his coaching staff that pretty much took over after he left. I don't care what Bruce Arians got to say. You're not coaching no more. I don't even really care about anything with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this point. I really feel like they're gonna squeeze themselves into the playoffs and lose in the first round. But then again, if you got Tom Brady, you have a chance. At least that's the narrative of what everybody else says. I don't truly believe that be
I'm
the case
tired of you keep saying the narrative.
because it's the truth. It's not the facts. It's not the facts. Tom Brady this season, do you really feel like, oh, just because he's still Tom Brady, he stands a chance to win the Super Bowl with the way that they've been playing this year? Not
I don't
necessarily
think
what Tom Brady's been doing, but the team as a whole. You think that they really are going to make more noise in the
hell
playoffs?
no.
All right,
Hell
then.
no.
But
But
just
my
because
thing
he's
is,
Tom Brady,
you guys keep saying, and I hate that people keep saying it. The narrative, the narrative.
yeah,
Nobody, trust me, nobody is expecting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win a damn Super Bowl this year. They're
no,
not
I
even
hear
in that
you.
position anymore.
I hear you, but tell you can't tell me you haven't heard. Well, it is Tom Brady, so I don't never count out Tom Brady. Like
Of
he
course,
can throw the
and
ball
his
and catch it
seven
at the
rings,
same time.
and his 7 rings kind of show that you really can't count out Tom Brady, which is the truth. It's not a narrative.
But
It's
that's
the
why
truth.
I like what Bruce Arians said. That's what I like with Arians, because Bruce Arians basically said that everybody's putting the blame on everybody else but Tom Brady, and that you got to be able to criticize a guy like Tom Brady, because he said it. He's like, oh, Byron Leftwich gets all the negativity as the offensive coordinator. Oh, it's his fault. Todd Bowles is going to get all of the negativity because, oh, that's the head coach. It's Todd Bowles' fault. It's going to be the offensive line. It's going to be they don't have a good team. But no, they don't. But
They don't.
again, at what point does Tom? We said this with KD. At what point? I don't care who you are. At what point can we say Tom Brady didn't play well? Tom Brady doesn't look good. Tom Brady does not look like he should be on a football field right now. At what point do we start giving blame
I
to
wouldn't
Tom
say he
Brady?
doesn't look like he needs to not be on the football field.
Listen, if I knew I was coming back to that team, first of all, Brady had to know there was no way he was going to be successful. Now, again, we don't know what was going on at home and what drove him to make this decision to come back. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady, okay, does not need to be on this football field right now for any reason.
I kind of disagree with you. Let's be clear. I don't think that the team is 100% trash. In the beginning of the season, that defense has kept them in a lot of games. That's one. And Tom Brady, like you're right, Tom Brady was not being his normal self in the beginning of the season. So yes, all credit, all blame should not all blame, but there's some structure of blame that should go to Tom because his head wasn't in where it was supposed to be because he was going through what he was going through in his personal life. It's neither here nor there.
How do we know that? But how do
we don't know that? Yeah, again, we don't know that. It's speculation.
If any other quarterback was given 4 days off from their team in the middle of a season to not come to practice, if any other quarterback was afforded or had to deal with what Tom Brady was dealing with over the course of the beginning of this season, the media and analysts would have ripped them to shred and be like, well, you got to deal with personal stuff outside of the season. You can't let it affect the team. You're losing because you're letting, but Brady got a pass because he's Brady.
Aaron didn't get a lot of passes.
He didn't get no passes. None.
That's what I'm saying.
He missed summer camp and went and got high in the mountains, and they talked trash about it for like a week and a half.
Barely,
but
barely though.
But Brady, nobody said nothing.
The Bradys, the Rodgers of the league, they are often exempt from getting the smoke. Where you have Russell Wilson, to me, who's performing on the same level as these guys, he got all the smoke that Brady and Rodgers didn't get.
After like 2 seasons of playing,
but barely though, because but the thing is, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, I feel like both of them more Brady than ever. I feel like the fact that he's still playing at this level, people are kind of relying on that more than productivity. And like you said at the beginning of your rant, they're going to find a way to sneak into the playoffs. And once you sneak into the playoffs, there's legit any given Sunday, any team could have it hot.
Now if they play the Vikings.
You never
Yeah,
know.
but if it was any other quarterback, leading that specific team with as bad as the Tampa Bay Bucks have looked this year,
I mean, like James Winston.
no analyst would sit here and say, oh, well, I think they actually have a shot. But because it is Tom Brady and his resume, there will be analysts and there will be media personalities out here, like Matt said, who will sit there and say, even if they're going up against the Vikings, well, the Vikings are definitely the better team, and it's going to take a miracle for the Tampa Bay Bucks to pull it out. But I can't count out Tom Brady, and because of Tom Brady, I'd pick the Bucks to win.
He can't throw and catch the ball and play defense.
I would never go that far to say I would pick the Bucks to win. But you really can't count them out.
People really are. They're gonna really pick the Buccaneers. They were like, oh, he's gonna win the championship. Why? Because he has to. Because of his divorce that ended because he went to play in the NFL when he promised to retire.
To be fair, let me tell you something. What I don't like about what people are speculating is that we don't know why their marriage ended. It feels like their marriage has ended for a long time. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And the thing is, if he is now, what he's doing with his career, I feel like is irrespective of what's going on in his marriage. You get what I'm saying? I feel as if right now, everyone needs to be held accountable. There has been games that he was not true to form. He evaded the smoke.
I've only seen one game, and that was that game overseas. This whole season, I've only seen one game with Tom Brady look like Tom Brady. I mean,
there's been some sloppy plays from his receiving core, some sloppy plays, especially in the offense. The defense seems to be keeping their season alive, as usual. That's what won them that Super Bowl.
And this is where that eternal argument over Belichick and Brady is always going to have steam, because people are going to point to seasons like this and say, well, there were times when he didn't have any talent in New England, and there were times when he didn't have any real names in New England, and they were still able to win.
Tom Brady wasn't 40 years old with that New England team. So
that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying
years old, right?
I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is this is what people will point to. That's why that argument will never die, because people will completely invalidate the fact that he's 40-something years old playing on a team that has nobody versus 20-something years old playing on a team that's got nobody.
Well, it could go both ways, because Bill Belichick ain't really hitting for nothing right now either. The Jets and it's not to get at the Jets, but the Jets and the Dolphins are practically running that division right now. Can we use that and can we hold that accountable? Bill Belichick doesn't run the AFC like that no more. That needs to be that, like, nobody. Bill Belichick has no stance in that argument at all.
That's over.
It's a wrap.
The moment. Let me tell you something. The moment where has the Patriots made the Super Bowl? Not the Super Bowl, the playoffs since Brady left.
Once.
I think Mac Jones' first year.
Yeah, they made it once and lost in the first round. They got smacked.
The wild card round, right?
They got punched in that game.
Okay.
It was like 43 to like 13 or 7 or some shit. I forgot what it was.
Once Brady's Buccaneers won that Super Bowl, Belichick-Brady comparisons have had to rest in peace. And at the end of the day, too, like Matt was saying, and I really agree with this, like, we are in a stratosphere right now, like when I always say it about like LeBron's and Aaron Rodgers and freaking Tom Brady's and Russell Wilson and even now Kevin Durant. There is a such thing as father time. You get what I'm saying? The fact that he's still able to play at this top level, being the oldest player in the damn league, shows his prowess as a player.
Listen, Father Time is undefeated though, Tay. You know this.
Got Aaron Rodgers now too. I gotta admit that you're right. They even got Aaron Rodgers. This dude is overthrowing and
And I see
underthrowing.
that.
And I saw that game, and I was just like, no.
Yes.
It's at the point where I feel like
bad.
Jordan Love might need to play. They might need to sit Aaron Rodgers down and trade him now.
Tom Brady is 45 years old. He is 5 years from 50. Okay? And he's still better than half of the other quarterbacks in the league.
I don't know about that.
Better than half.
I don't know. I'd probably say that I probably would rank him right in the middle, but I don't know if I'd rank him in the top 15.
Who?
Brady now.
He'll be in the top 10, but he'll be at the lower part of the
I don't think he's even in the top 10. I don't think he's in the top 10 this season.
No, he's not. All right, and here's the issue that I'm having.
Wait
right?
a minute. Who
Hold
would
on.
y'all put in the top 10 this season, though?
This season, I'd put Josh Allen right now based on this season. Josh Allen.
He hasn't been looking good the last 4 games.
No, but still, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua is number 1 right now.
Tua,
Better
Patrick,
than Mahomes?
Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins. Cousins has looked great this year.
It is fucking amazing. I can't even believe we're fucking saying this right now. Kirk Cousins is looking like a top 5 fucking quarterback right now. It is fucking amazing.
Okay.
Oh my god.
We're getting into the 10. What?
I didn't hear what he said. What did he say?
I didn't hear what he said.
I said Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Barely.
Jalen Hurts has to be in that top 10 discussion.
Just Jalen Hurts is top 5 right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I made you at least 10 better than Brady right now.
You didn't give us 10. You gave us 4.
You gave us 4.
Hold on. No, hold on. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa. That's 3.
3.
Jalen Hurts is 4.
Jalen Hurts 4.
And Justin Herbert.
That's 5.
Justin Herbert is 5. Kirk Cousins is 6. I would put right now
Geno
based on the
Smith.
way Geno Smith has been a top 10 quarterback this season.
Come on.
For the season,
He has been.
For the season,
This season, he has been.
Yes, yes. I give you that.
You could even make the argument that I'm trying to think of what his freaking name is. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Lamar Jackson would probably be the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah.
But yes, he'd be a top 10 quarterback this season with what he's done with Baltimore. There's a quarterback. I'm trying to remember his name. He's on a losing team right now. He's on a losing team, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, I would put, no lie about it, and if you look at the stats they supported, Trevor Lawrence is up there this year. If you look at the stats,
You gotta relax, Pete. you gotta relax.
I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
I'm telling the truth.
So you mean to tell me?
You gotta relax.
And I would actually rank
if you added 5 more names to that list, meaning the top 15, that Tom Brady's not on that top 15.
You gotta relax.
Because for me, I can't put. There's people like Josh Allen.
I put Daniel Jones ahead of him right now.
I wouldn't even put Daniel Jones ahead of him right now.
I would.
He's the average quarterback. I've been said that.
You know what, Dre? Aaron Rodgers is not on. Okay, you see, these are legacy votes right now. These are legacy votes right now. Because
Aaron Rodgers is playing the same. Aaron Rodgers has been playing just as bad as Tom Brady. So if Tom Brady's up there at the top 10, Aaron Rodgers needs to be in the top 10.
Aaron Rodgers is not there. Aaron Rodgers looks worse than Tom Brady.
Not necessarily. Tom Brady has more weapons.
That's always the excuse for Packer fans. But I'm gonna
Skippy peanut butter and jelly.
We're not gonna have this whole 15-minute debate on the Packers. But I would put where I still can see the Buccaneers making the playoffs. I cannot see the Packers making the playoffs.
Oh, the Packers is done. They lost Thursday. It's over. That's
It's
wrap.
over.
When
This
they lost to
season
the
is a
Packers,
wrap.
that was it, bro.
So they're
It's
not
over.
even in the conversation. You get what I'm saying? So
Trade
if I
Aaron
had
Rodgers now at this point.
if I had a top 10, it'll be Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Tua. I'm not putting no Sam Darnold in the top 10.
You gotta relax.
Tua.
Even though he has been playing decent this year.
I said Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I would still give Kirk Cousins his due because the Vikings look almost indestructible. But to be fair, towards the end of the season, they always get to this point where they start to look trash.
You mean Kirk Cousins, not necessarily the Vikings.
The entire team.
Yeah.
The entire team. I've been saying this for
Joe Burrow has, in terms of quarterback play, Joe Burrow has thrown 18 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions this year and almost at 2,500 yards. You have to put Burrow up there as well.
Yeah, but the Bengals look pathetic.
The Bengals look pathetic, but it isn't based on his. I don't think we could base that solely on his play. And that's the thing. I think, listen, Tom, just saying it straight up because I was looking at the stats just now. Tom Brady is number 2 in the league in passing yards right now because he's had to throw the ball 50 times a freaking game. But that
but let's stop doing
looks
that.
absolutely
Because
terrible around him.
But if he's leading in passing yards, he's leading in something. What is Aaron Rodgers leading in? Can you answer that for me?
Probably interceptions now.
Aaron Rodgers is actually 2,442 yards this season, fourth in the league. He has thrown 19 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and averaging 6.8 yards per attempt.
The only difference this year from any other season is he's throwing interceptions now, whereas this is the most interceptions he had in the season, and he's had within the last 2 seasons.
Rodgers is third in touchdowns.
Yeah.
Rodgers is third in touchdowns with 19. Brady is 14th in touchdowns. Brady has only thrown 12 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, but Brady has thrown almost 3,000 yards already. He is second in the league at 2,805 yards so far this season, but has only thrown 12 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
Yeah. But my overall point is you still have to put these guys in the upper echelon of quarterbacks based on their pedigrees. You get what I'm saying? Because I still haven't seen, look at Jimmy Garoppolo is doing a great job at San Francisco. No one ever talks about him at all.
Shit, he should be in the top 10, right?
No one ever talks
He
about
hasn't started enough. He hasn't started enough. In fact, if you think about it, what's terrible is based on the statistics right now, Jared Goff, as terrible as the Detroit Lions are, is actually up there. Lamar Jackson actually hasn't even broken 2,000 yards passing yet this season.
He runs.
Right. If you're looking at
him and Jalen Hurts probably leading the rushing.
Right,
him, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen.
Trevor Lawrence, 2,300 yards, 13 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. Geno Smith, 17 touchdowns to 4 interceptions this season. Garoppolo, 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. But Garoppolo's also only played 8 games.
Tavia probably sick with Pete Carroll looking like Bill Belichick right now with that decision.
No.
I'm just saying. Because who the hell expected Geno Smith to be doing this goddamn good right now? I did not have that on my bingo card. I'm sorry. And I know I should be playing him because he used to be a Jet, but damn. Like, shit.
Geno Smith has the second highest completion. 73% passes. Better than Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Burrow, and Matt Ryan, and Matthew Stafford. That's the rest of the top 5. The number 1 player this year, I wouldn't even count because it was a replacement guy. Well, it's a guy who's only thrown 6 passes. Brian Hoyer has completed 5 of his 6 passes. So if you really look at Geno Smith is number 1 in the league in completion percentage. 72.8% of his passes.
I bet you Cooper Rush is up there too. So we ain't even mentioned Dak.
No, actually.
We ain't even mentioned Dak Prescott.
It's the top 5 starting quarterbacks for completion percentage. Geno Smith, Tua Tagovailoa, 71%. Joe Burrow, 70%. Matt Ryan, 69%. And Matthew Stafford, 68%. In fact, Matthew Stafford is 68.4% with Jalen Hurts at 67.9%.
Probably, to answer Shaq's question.
All right, let me read Shaq's question. You want to answer it? Read it. Let me ask you something. If Daniel Jones had the Jets receiving core to throw to, would the Giants be undefeated?
Not undefeated, but they'll be in a better winning stance than they are right now.
What do you mean better winning stance?
If I gave Garrett Wilson to Daniel Jones, that'd be the greatest receiver he's had.
So yeah, what do you mean better winning stance?
I feel like they'll probably be. Well, they're not necessarily. They're not in a bad winning stance, but I feel like they'll be.
Lost 2 games.
Huh?
They only lost 2 games.
I know, but I feel like they would probably be.
I
can't hear nothing he's saying. Pete, you gotta go to a McDonald's or something where there's Wi-Fi in the Bronx.
Are we better now? We better now. Are we keeping Saquon Barkley on the Giants? If you're giving Garrett Wilson, if you're giving Garrett Wilson and you're giving Saquon Barkley on the Giants are undefeated this year. I say that straight out. If you give Daniel Jones just Garrett Wilson, number 1 wide receiver on the Jets, and you keep Saquon Barkley, the Giants are.
But can we not ignore the fact that the Giants only lost to the Seahawks because of 2 irresponsible fumbles at the wrong possible time?
I give you that. That's why he said undefeated.
No one expected the Giants and the Jets to be as good as they are. No one.
Let's say the Seahawks and the Eagles. I feel like they would have beat the Eagles.
Who, the Giants?
Yeah.
I thought they lost to the Cowboys.
Hold on. Check.
It was Cowboys Seahawks.
Yeah, because the Eagles they have to play the Eagles twice.
Yeah, it was Cowboys Seahawks. But at the end of the day, I don't feel the Giants would have been undefeated. They still would have lost that Cowboys game. They just were not on it, that Cowboys game at all, Shaq. But that Seahawks game was complete carelessness.
Hold on.
Listen, I think the Giants can have. First of all, they're both going to have winning seasons, and I think both of them are going to play off the playoff conversation this year. And I don't think anybody thought that was going to be the case this year for either team.
No, yeah.
And Brian Dable is becoming a folk hero in New York amongst Giants.
I'm bugging. I got them mixed up with the Cowboys. My bad. But
I definitely remember the Cowboys, and I remember the Seahawks was completely their fault. And I feel like with the Giants, my thing is with the Eagles, this is something that we should be able to, that we were going to kind of transition to next. But the Eagles lost their game on Sunday night against, who did they play against?
The Commanders.
The Washington Commanders. And this begs, a question like, do you believe that this loss is a momentum killer for them, or if it's just a loss?
It's a loss. It's just a loss. I mean, people that go undefeated, that they play with a different level of anxiety, where mistakes are more prone to happen, which had happened in that game. Because we all don't think the Commanders are a good to great team. We think that they're decent to mediocre at best. But honestly, like, it happens. Like, mistakes happen. And with, Jalen Hurts being the quarterback that he is, which is not fun, but very, like, detail-oriented and very film watching heavy, I feel like he's gonna take that and he's gonna take that on the chin and he's gonna like really pay attention to details so these mistakes doesn't happen. So I mean, you need that. You need to get that out the way in order to really maintain focus on what's the bigger goal, which for Jalen Hurts is to win a Super Bowl or get to a Super Bowl. So it's not going to hurt them. I feel like it's just going to make them more stronger, more dangerous. They just picked up another player. So, I mean, shit, the Eagles going to be an issue. They're going to be a real big issue in the NFC. And their schedule's not that hard.
The NFC, the schedule's not that hard. And I think that they kind of caught a lucky break by having a really easy schedule. But the NFC has been way more competitive, especially the NFC East, than people gave them credit for. When you even look at the Commanders are the worst team in the NFC East right now, and they still are starting to look a lot better, barring all the internal going on. Yeah, but even still, what are they, 5-4?
Not too sure.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I said this last week.
No, they're 5-5.
Those NFC East games. Those NFC East games are always a
competitive.
Like
they're competitive.
We have seen some great NFC East teams go in and play, terrible NFC East teams. We've seen games where you have one team in the NFC East that's like the Eagles 8-0, but then you have another team that's like 2-6, and for some reason the 2-6 team finds a way to win. And the NFC East has always been a toss-up where those teams play each other. It's very hard for me to make a decision after this game with the Eagles. I think it's going to be a question on how the Eagles respond, right? So I'm very interested to see how the Eagles are going to do this Sunday, because if they lose again this Sunday or they don't look good this Sunday, then I think we could legitimately say that the Washington Commanders' loss got into their head, and it will affect them moving forward. But if the Eagles come out and rip shit this weekend and come out and just reestablish themselves, then I think we could literally just look at it as a loss. I think it's going to really depend on how they respond in the very next game. And also, it's really going to depend on how other teams use what the Commanders did, in upcoming games against the Eagles. Because the Commanders definitely, were able to do things to the Eagles that no team up to this point had been able to do.
Well, I don't think that anybody is really thinking that the Eagles are going to lose to, the Colts. I'm sorry. I don't see that happening. Like me and Taylor,
the coach Saturday is kind of reinvigorating that core too. I don't think, while I don't think the Colts are gonna beat what's the name, the Eagles, I do feel like there were some of those games that were a lot closer in the Eagles' undefeated streak that were closer than Eagles fans would like to admit.
Yeah, I understand. I believe you. And congratulations to Jeff Saturday, even though Pete was a hater and got.
It had nothing to do with Jeff Saturday. It had to do with the fact that Jonathan Taylor finally came back healthy, and Jonathan Taylor was finally running the ball. This is what the Colts wanted by getting Matt Ryan. It wasn't getting Matt Ryan because of Matt Ryan. It was getting Matt Ryan to have a quarterback to stabilize behind Jonathan Taylor, because you had a quarterback who could throw the ball. And the statistics show that Matt Ryan has been in the top 5 of completion percentage this year, but you had a running back in Jonathan Taylor who needed a quarterback who other teams could actually think could throw the ball, because he didn't have that. And then what happened? Jonathan Taylor got hurt. And defenses were able to key in on Matt Ryan and key in on that offensive line and really decimate the Colts. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Matt Ryan's a world beater. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Matt Ryan is a franchise-changing quarterback at this age and at this time in his career. But they brought in Matt Ryan to do what he does best, which is be a game manager with Jonathan Taylor backing him up and opening up the passing lane. When they lost Jonathan Taylor, you saw what happened. If Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy for the rest of the season, I think the Colts can be a lot more competitive than their record looks. I don't think there's anything to do with Jeff Saturday.
Agreed.
Truth be told, I feel like the Eagles' only tough games that they got coming up are the Giants, the Cowboys, and I think they play the Giants twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Giants twice.
It's going to be important for the Giants, I think, to get a split. I think it's going to be important. It's more important for the Giants to get a split than it is for the.
They
for
have
the
an 80. They have an 80% chance of making a playoff.
Who? The Giants? Yeah, 100%. So yeah, the Giants, the Cowboys, and maybe
the Giants will make the playoffs.
But to be honest with you, I
Unless
think
the Giants collapse.
I think they split Giants, and I think that they lose to the Cowboys.
I don't know. With the way the Cowboys have been playing, especially with them like kind of putting Micah in a different scenario where he's not pressuring the quarterback per se. I don't know. Because the Cowboys have been – look, I'm sorry. I'm about to start saying this shit. I don't believe in Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. I really feel like he's overrated as fuck. I'm tired of everybody putting him in the top 10 quarterback because I don't feel like he is. But
I believe in him more than I believe in Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm talking about quarterback.
He disappeared.
But I've been saying for 2 seasons Tony Pollard should be the starting running back, but nobody wanted to hear it. Everybody want to be like, "Oh,
he should have never been paid. He should have never.
No, he should have got paid. He should have got paid, but he got hurt.
No,
he got hurt.
Nobody don't want to hear it because I blank out on all things Cowboys.
Pete,
no, he
can't tell me when Zeke got offered that contract, he didn't deserve it. He deserved the contract. It's just after that, that's when injury started beating his ass. And he's.
But again, what do we always say about that? What do we say about running backs?
They're only good capacity of running back. I know.
A lot of them are only good up until that first extension, and we always see, especially in the modern NFL, after that first extension, especially guys who play an extended amount of time in college, which Ezekiel Elliott did, which is why he was so well known coming into the NFL. They don't last that long. Their first 3-4 years, and that's it. And I knew giving Ezekiel Elliott that extension was going to be a problem. I would have rather paid Dak Prescott than Ezekiel Elliott. And I have more faith in Dak than I do in Zeke.
Dak has been just as injury prone, not as injury prone as Zeke, but he's been on the injury reserve list.
He's been as injury prone as Zeke.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, Pete, you can't say he didn't deserve that contract because before he got that contract, he was killing. He was a fucking monster, and we all know it. He deserved that contract. Now, do I feel like they should have prioritized? Do I feel like they should have prioritized it like they did, where Dak Prescott got, shafted a little bit, but then he ended up fucking up very in the long run? No, I don't. I felt like it should have been more even. I don't feel like Zeke should have got a crazy contract. I just feel like we know now. We know, like Tavia said with the Father Time thing, like injuries play a part in the Father Time run too. And Zeke has been getting his ass killed. And he's been getting smoked by Tony Pollard. And I've been saying Tony Pollard needs to be starting. He's more reliable. He's more of a demon. And I feel like they need to start moving on to the newer guard. There should be no reason why CeeDee Lamb is your freaking your go-to, especially if Dak Prescott is your quarterback. I feel like he works better with Cooper Rush. That's just my opinion. But I feel like Dak Prescott is overhyped because I feel he was playing like shit before he got hurt. Cooper Rush came in, shut the whole place down. He get one loss, and then they switch over to Dak Prescott. Fucked up.
Well, Cooper wasn't looking good in his last 2 games. He won that second to last game, yes, but he wasn't looking good in that game either. He was starting to get exposed. At the end of the day, you don't have a guy like Dak Prescott and continue to sit him like that unless he's having a bad game. It's kind of like the same argument that we have in the NBA right now with Zach LaVine. Like, you play a guy like a Dak Prescott unless he's not playing well, right? Like, if he's not playing well, you sit him the fuck down and you bring in somebody else.
I can't compare Dak Prescott to Zach LaVine because Zach LaVine knows the fundamentals. He's a good mid-range shooter. He's a good
Zach LaVine. I'm sorry. If you shoot in 1 for 14, I'm sitting your ass down. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are.
Okay, but Dak Prescott is not exactly consistent either. Let's be clear on that.
But again, when you look at the resume of Dak Prescott versus the resume of Cooper Rush, who are you putting out there? You're putting out Dak Prescott. That's what you're doing. Okay, the same reason why at the end of the day, you're always going to see the veteran sometimes get a start over the young kid. It's why the New York Jets, instead of going to Mike White as their starting quarterback for the beginning of the season, went with Joe Flacco because he's the veteran. And they expect for the veteran to have some sort of knowledge of how to manage a game. Even if you're not as good as you used to be, you're still better than an unproven talent like a Mike White. And so that's the same thing with the Cowboys did. They put in Cooper Rush because they had no choice because Prescott was injured. The minute Prescott is back and available, I'm going to put Prescott in over Cooper Rush. Especially the way he looked exposed in those last two games. It wasn't like he lost two close games, threw for 300 yards, had no interceptions and 4 touchdowns in each of those games, and they lost by a field goal. Because if that happened and Dak was healthy and you still put in Dak, then I would have ripped you to shreds. But he was exposed. I think he threw 6 or 7 interceptions in his final 2 games.
So Aaron Rodgers has thrown 6 interceptions in one game before. Shit happens. And Dak Prescott ain't no fucking saint. Dak Prescott fucks up just as much as any other quarterback. I think
I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm not arguing with you on that. You're right.
Overhyped. Dak Prescott doesn't get the same smoke as like we act like Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush had one really bad game. Dak Prescott started the season with a bad game.
Okay,
let's be clear.
But Matt, this is what the Cowboys do. Tell me, name for me the last really, really good Cowboys quarterback where the hype was matched up by the statistics besides Troy Aikman.
I was just about to say Troy Aikman.
Besides Aikman. Besides him. Because you could talk all they want about Romo.
I like Romo.
Hyped up. I like Romo as well, but Romo's hype was way better than his production. Quincy Carter, don't get me started.
Quincy Carter was a bomb. Wonderful, nobody said. And I stand on that.
This is what the Cowboys do. They always have these players that are supposed to be great, have these flashes of greatness, but the hype is always bigger and better than the actual production.
I'm going to say this right now. Dak Prescott is a season and a half for me comparing him to Carson Wentz.
Wentz won a Super Bowl.
I don't fuck with nobody.
Wentz did not win a Super Bowl.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing that.
He got a ring. He got a ring.
Yeah, he's forever in debt to Nick Foles for that. I'm sorry. I don't know, but I'm forever in debt for that.
Forever.
Now I want you to document this day that I said this. November 19, 2022. We are a season away from me putting freaking Dak Prescott in the same boat as Carson Wentz.
But should I? But the thing is, to be fair with you, I think we could be already making those comparisons. I'm not gonna hold you. You're being crazy.
But if you had to choose KJ and Matt, if you had to choose a quarterback between Dak and Carson Wentz, you're taking Dak every time.
Of course, because it's Carson Wentz.
I'm not taking either. I'm taking Bane to come and blow up the studio.
And I think you could say that, would you take right now, would you take Dak Prescott over Jameis Winston?
No. Matter of fact, yeah. I would.
You would take
him over Dak.
You take him over Jameis Winston. You take him over Marcus Mariota. I'd even take him over Matt Ryan. I'd take him over, Jacoby Brissett.
I wouldn't take him over Matt Ryan.
I would take him over Matt Ryan.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. There are a lot of teams. There are a lot of teams in the NFL. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that, if you took Dak Prescott and replaced their starting quarterback with Dak Prescott, would actually be better at the quarterback position.
I disagree with you, Tavia. And this is the first time this show. I'm choosing Matt Ryan over Dak Prescott because I don't blame Matt Ryan for what the fuck happened in the Super Bowl. I'm blaming Snyder. I don't fuck nobody.
Would you take him over Derek Carr?
Who?
Prescott?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He has Dante Adams and he's playing like shit. Yes. 100%. I would take yes. 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 Hell yes. 2 times on Sunday.
So then again, we could literally say Dak Prescott is as mid gets, because you could probably say that Dak Prescott, you would probably replace half of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL with Dak Prescott.
I still would choose Cooper Rush over Dak Prescott. I said what I said.
I think you're just being emotional with that one.
I'm not being emotional. Again, Shaq. I know Shaq remembers everything. November 19, 2022. We are a season and a half away from me putting Dak Prescott in the same boat as Carson Wentz.
I like Shaq's most recent question. So in that 2016 draft class, would you take Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott?
I'll take
I'd still take Dak. I'd take
Jared Goff.
No, I'd still take Dak. Goff looked terrible.
Dak Prescott don't look that great either. So I don't know what nobody said.
Dak looks better than Jared Goff. Look at the tape of Jared Goff at St. Louis.
How many games did Jared Goff miss compared to Dak Prescott?
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm sure Dak missed more games.
Jared Goff is more reliable than Dak Prescott is. I'm choosing.
Okay, but while he may have been more reliable, and while we always say the best availability is availability, his stats were terrible. This was a guy who couldn't break 100-something yards some games. This is a guy who would go 14 for 30 for 112 yards and no touchdowns and lose. Jared Goff.
With who?
With St. Louis. Remember, Jared Goff was the starting quarterback for St. Louis for many years before they traded him for Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff was the starting quarterback in St. Louis, and St. Louis was terrible. Terrible.
Because that's only the offense.
Terrible.
Right?
I would take Dak. I would take Dak. And then between Wentz and Goff, I'd have to flip a coin.
I'd take a coin. I would still take Goff.
Dragging it. I'm choosing Goff over fucking Carson Wentz. Hell, I choose Cooper Rush over Carson. I choose Baker. Nah, I'm wilding. I would never choose Baker Mayfield over Carson Wentz. I gotta relax. I got you. I gotta relax.
Yeah. All right, guys. So last but not least, again, we have to do this expeditiously.
I don't want to do this at all, honestly. Fucking pick 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, pick 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I ain't gonna never put my picture up there. I see this. This is gonna be.
I never made it. I just report the news.
All right, Tay and I were both tied this week with 4-1 records. Both of our Tay's loss coming with the Rams and my loss coming with the Cowboys. Matt and Dre both went 2-3 this week, losing the Broncos, Bills, and Cowboys games. Matt 24-26 overall. Matt 20.
See, I feel like he's doing this on purpose to fuck with me. That's what we're doing. It's all right. You know what? He can stay on mute. That's what we're gonna do. This pick 5. It's a setup.
We gotta understand it. I gotta go soon, y'all.
Yeah, she did the want, so I thought that it overtook what I said. That's the only reason why I repeated it. Dre is 27-23. Tay is in second place at 28-22. Like Tom Brady, the comeback begins for Tay. And I am in first place at 36-14. Let's go to the games for this week. Tay, what do we got? You're going to catch up. I guarantee you I'm going to have a bad week. I don't know when, but it always happens. It has always happened in the 3 years that we have done Pick 5. I have always had a really, really bad week that knocks me out of either contention or knocks me out of like second place. You know, and I honestly,
you are 9 games ahead. Are you serious right now? It's going to take 3 weeks of bad weeks.
No, I am 8 games ahead. I am 8 games ahead, not 9. And I will say this, and I say this honestly. There is a reason I have not gloated or been super duper happy about the fact that I'm in first place, because I know I need this lead. Because Tay gonna come out of nowhere, and we gonna get to the playoffs, and Tay gonna come and sneak up and find a way to win this. I need a 10-game lead because I need to be able to avoid Tay coming out of nowhere.
It's ass kissing. That's what this is about. I'm sick of this shit.
For some reason, let me tell you something. For some reason, I get more accurate and accurate as the season goes on.
Some bullshit.
It's what happens. And listen, I've seen it. I have the data to back it up. Do I need to show you the statistical graphs, Matt?
I just want to get past this game. I just want to get past
graphs.
the stupid ass shit. I'm sick of the pick 5. I'm done. For the last 2 seasons, I've been screwed. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this whole goddamn thing. Yes, I got
Matt
through
is
the first
Matt
season.
is the Baker Mayfield
I
of pick
got.
5.
Whoa! You are not going to compare me to Baker Mayfield. That's what you're not going to do. She's more like Tom Brady and I'm Aaron Rodgers. That's how I feel about the situation. I'm being taken advantage of.
Wow.
That's how I feel. I'm being taken advantage of.
Tay, what games do we have on tap this week?
Fucking Jack Turner.
Starting off with our first game is Jets versus Patriots. Matt?
That's going to be my T-shirt. I'm going to get that T-shirt. What'd you
Matt,
say?
who you got?
What was the game again?
Jets versus Patriots.
Jets. Fuck the Patriots.
Who you got?
I'm also taking the Jets.
I like Mac Jones. I just feel like he's in the
taking the
wrong.
Patriots. Oh.
I feel like he's in the wrong system. I feel like Mac Jones would do good on a team like the 49ers. You don't think so?
Tay's got New England. Matt and I have the hometown Jets.
Whoa. I said Jets.
Oh, okay. I heard you say the Patriots.
Yeah.
No, I said Patriot. Oops, no, Jets.
Okay, so 3-0 on the Jets. What's our next game, Tay?
Raiders versus Broncos. I got Raiders.
Wow, this is the matchup of 2 underwhelming teams.
You ready to admit it yet? You ready to admit it yet? Pete, you ready to admit it yet? Come on.
You would be ready to admit that Aaron Rodgers is washed before I will ever.
I just said it. I said it in the other segment. I said Aaron Rodgers has been playing horrible. And you were right.
You got
his ass.
Tavia, where's the game at? Is it in Denver or is it in Vegas?
The fuck I look like? What's her name? Tony Romo? The fuck? How
Yo,
hold on, let me check.
Oh man.
Broncos. They're at the Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm taking Denver.
Yeah, I'm still taking the I'm taking the Raiders.
Who you got?
I'm taking the Raiders. Oh man. Y'all gonna die on this Russell Wilson trade. I swear. Huh?
Cowboys, Vikings.
Oh, Vikings all day. Vikings all day.
Yeah, I got the Vikings on that one.
It's kind of difficult though. I ain't gonna hold you.
No, it's not. It's Kirk Cousins.
That's why it's difficult. Because when he's gonna turn into a pumpkin again.
Week 11. We're still safe with Kirk Cousins for now.
I guess.
Come back and talk to me week 14.
Yeah. Shit. Because the Cowboys have been fucking up. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
Yeah. So Chiefs, Chargers.
God damn it.
Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to take KC, and I feel bad doing it because I've always been on that Justin Herbert train, but they need a better coaching staff. I honestly think that coaching staff is not doing him any favors.
Yeah.
I got Kansas City.
And our last game, rounding out pick 5, is the 49ers Cardinals. I'm going with the 49ers.
Yeah, me too. This is not even close.
Hey, the Cardinals shocked the world last week.
No, they didn't.
They beat the Rams.
I wasn't
The
shocked.
Rams are trash.
Nobody was shocked about that shit. They both.
I'll also take the 49ers. Though it's funny because what was it last week? Tavia got the only one to get that Cowboys-Packers game right, taking the Packers in that game. I don't know how the Packers won that one.
I almost went 5-0. If I didn't change my damn pick.
Yes, you would have had a 5-0 week.
So before we wrap up, the last topic is that just give me a quick rapid fire answer. If OBJ comes back to the league, what team do you think he's going to?
Part of me say Kansas City. I'm not gonna hold you. Even though they don't really need it, I feel like he wants to go to a team where he feels like he has the best chance of winning. So it'll be either Kansas City or Buffalo. But I don't know. Part of me say Kansas City, but part of me really say Buffalo. Because then he'll be like a number 2 option in Buffalo. But I feel like if he was in Kansas City, he'll be like a number 3.
Well,
So I think here's the thing. I really do think that there is a sentimental reason for him to come back to the Giants. I do think he might want to bring it full circle. He's won the ring already, so it's not like he needs the ring. He's won the ring. I think closing out the chapter with the Giants is where it's at, and I think that's the best shot for him. But here's my dark horse. Tampa Bay and Tom Brady.
He ain't gonna do shit out there, but just get frustrated. So thank you guys for a good episode. Shout outs to Dre. And then as we wrap this up, I hope everyone has a fantastic week. Shout out to all the 100 shows on the network. I don't know all of them, so I'm not gonna butcher them. And just, stay classy. Peace.
Peace out.
Sound like the Dos Ecos commercial. Stay classy, my friends.
Dos Ecos.
Not Dos Ecos.
Done with you, Matt. Done with